Hey everybody, we'll have some White Wizzard updates and news soon, but I wanted to talk just really quickly about the passing of Paul Di'Anno, the original singer for Iron Maiden, at least the one on the first two records. Um, and I think it's something that, you look back at Iron Maiden's career. I mean, that band, the success that they've had now to this point is beyond, I think, what anybody probably could have imagined back then. I've always said that Rod Smallwood, the Iron Maiden's manager, and Steve Harris, I think they made probably one of the ballsiest moves in music history when they pivoted from Paul Di'Anno to Bruce Dickinson after doing two records and touring the world and really pushing the band to pretty good heights already at that point. That was a very risky move, and it turned out to be a genius move, right? I mean, I don't think Steve Harris could have probably seen the vision through without making that move. I think they kind of hit their ceiling with Paul, and they knew it. And a lot of bands wouldn't have made that pivot, though. I think that was a really incredibly strong move and strong visionary move by Rod and Steve. And ultimately it paid off. But looking back, I think that the first two records and Paul's impact on that scene and the band's career is still extremely powerful. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for bringing what I think was a real punk rock kind of rough edge to a band that really, if you look at Steve's influences to that point, was really heavily influenced by, prog rock, classic rock. Steve was into bands like Nectar and UFO and things like that. And I think that Paul helped bring the edge that gave Iron Maiden in their early days the credibility in that scene, because that scene was really like, to get respect in that scene during the era of punk rock and the early days of metal, you either had to be really dark and brooding like Sabbath, or you had to, have a real fucking punk rock kind of fuck you edge to you. And I think that's what Paul brought. And I think that the first two Maiden albums are very unique records that'll stand the test of time. They'll always be cult classics. And they're just as essential in Iron Maiden's overall career as the rest of the records. They may not have been as polished, and the songwriting may not have been as progressed, but those two records are really important records. And I was really sad to hear that Paul passed away at only, I think, 66, which is very young these days. I know he had some health problems. I know that me and I think Eric Clubert from the Over the Top lineup went to go see him at a show when he was on tour. I believe it was 2009, and he looked a little winded on stage even then. But I'm glad I got to at least see him once singing Iron Maiden songs, and he seemed just glad to be there. And I think a lot of people should have a lot of empathy for the guy, because can you imagine, like, as far as like psychologically, I believe a lot of the reason that he had health problems probably was due to stress, depression, and other things, not just some genetic kind of thing. Because when you really think about what that must have been like, I mean, you're ascending with a band. It's the dream of everybody. You're the lead singer. You record two incredible records. Your second record you do with the famed producer Martin Birch, and it's a fucking monster album. You record live at the Rainbow. Anybody that hasn't seen that, go on YouTube and watch that concert. It's phenomenal. And it's like, you're like ascending to this massive mountaintop that so few musicians even have the remote chance to even taste. And this incredible band with all this power and energy. And how hard must that have been to take, not only being fired, I'm not saying it wasn't the right move. It was, in the grand scheme. That time has proven that to be the case, and the records speak for themselves, Number of the Beast, etc. But man, that must have been so painful, and I just don't know how you recover from that. like emotionally and mentally. I just don't know how you do. I know he did other bands for a little bit and did some other stuff, but I mean, you've got to just put yourself in the shoes of someone like that. How devastating that must have been for him. And I really kind of feel bad for the guy, and I hope he didn't suffer too much later in life, and I hope he is obviously not going to suffer anymore. And if we do move on in this life, I hope he deserves to be moved on to a hell of a ride on the next run, because he got shortchanged, man. Let's just face facts. So rest in peace to Paul Di'Anno, and life's a short run, man. Do everything you want to do, and do it fearlessly. Fuck the rest. Nothing else matters. So peace to you all. We will have updates soon.